Hello and welcome back to my series on this collapsible shelving unit. And this video is going to be all about the different types of layouts you can get with this unit. Up here I just have two of the potential ones that we're going to go over. Before we get started, we're going to be using a variety of accessories in this video, including these shelves, the steel rod, some dowels, a pegboard which is cut to the length of my shelves, some S-hooks, and these curtain rings which have little clips hanging on them. A couple of notes about safety. Whenever we're using the dowels and the steel rod, cotter pins are going on the ends of those no matter what. And then if you use a layout that is either dowels only or just one shelf or so, you're definitely gonna weigh down your legs if you're gonna be at an outdoor show. We were practicing with a new layout last week outside and it was kind of windy, and the wind caught the pegboard just right and caused the whole shelving unit to fall over. Luckily, it's so sturdy that everything was fine, but definitely use weights if you are going to be using minimal shelves or no shelves, because those shelves do add a lot of weight to this unit to keep it from falling over. So if you don't have those shelves, use weights. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so right here we have my stand in its most popular form for what it's known for online. This is the apparel stand version, where you can display your shirts up here, put alligator clips to secure the shirts in place, and then put all your folded apparel down below. Obviously, this is just 8 shirts up here right now, so you can put 8 shirts here and put something else on the third shelf. Or you can squeeze 12 shirts up here if you really try, but you are gonna have to cut off some of your designs. Here it is blank. You need 2 dowels up top, all 4 shelves, all 8 dowels down here. This version of the display is also really great to put at the back of your booth because it allows a wall to be built at the back of your booth by your products, so it's a lot of room for storage behind there. All right, so right here we have the first way I ever used this display. I have sizes small through 4X hanging up top and just some tote bags folded on the bottom. If you'd like, you could fold other apparel on the bottom, you could put mugs on the bottom, any kind of product that can sit neatly on a shelf. Additionally, I do want to point out that I have small through 4X hanging up here right now. But if you want to get out more designs up top, one thing we have done in the past is only hung small through large, and then we've folded the bigger sizes on the bottom, and that helps us get 8 designs out total. So people can shop through it up here, and you just have to let them know that the larger sizes are on the shelf at the bottom. And the reason we have to do that is because the third shelf sits right here. So extra large through 3X ends up dragging and it just doesn't look good. So this is one way you can hang it. We swapped the top wooden dowel for the steel rod so that it doesn't sag, and then just 2 shelves, 4 dowels down here. These other brackets sit empty. The other thing that you could do with this for hanging apparel is if you don't even have enough to fill the whole display, maybe you have 4 shirts total, you could hang shirts from nice display hangers up top and then do folded apparel on the bottom like this. And this is a good way to get the apparel facing forward so that people can see it when they're walking by. Realistically, you can only fit 3 or 4 shirts on the rod up top this way, so you are going to be limited on the amount of apparel you can get out. We're going to keep this same display up, and I'm going to show you some different product types on this type of display. Okay, here's that same hanging layout. I do want to say thank you to Bespoke Babe Co., who let me borrow some of her big macrame pieces so that I could show you guys what this might look like with some larger statement pieces. So up here, I just hung a few large macrame items, and then I laid some of her plant hangers down on the shelf. So obviously macrame hangs most of the time, so the shelves may not do you much good for the macrame usage. Okay, here's the next one. That was just a hanging display only. still with those macrame pieces from Bespoke Babe Co., except I swapped the bottom shelf for another hanging level. And I do have these longer pieces still hanging behind that, and I think that layout looks great. The one thing I will say is if you have anything hanging that really relies on it facing forward and you're going to be using S-hooks, you might want to drill points in your dowels that are the exact width of the S-hooks so that they can't like rotate along the dowel, because obviously as people mess with these, like they're not going to want to hang forward. So you can put up 2 S-hooks and fix them in place, and that will keep them fixed facing forward. So for this, we literally just have a dowel, and I have the steel rod up here. If your stuff is light, you could use a dowel. Again, this is the one that I was mentioning in the beginning. You're probably gonna wanna weigh your legs down. I will link some sandbags in the description that will be useful for that. They're basically like large ankle weights. Okay, I'm gonna keep this exact same layout and show you what it would look like with hanging tote bags from it. So again, I just have the S-hooks here and just throwing tote bags up here. Okay, so here's a tote bag visual for you. Unfortunately, I did not bring that many tote bags to fill this up for you, so she looks a little bit empty, but I did raise this one up, so let's do that over here. And again, that was just 2 dowels or a steel rod, depending on how heavy your stuff is. Same thing goes for what I said earlier about the S-hook. You could always drill points, and then that way things will hang straight like they're meant to. The other thing I'm gonna show you really quick is putting apparel on the bottom of this one, so let's try that. And the other thing I forgot to say about this is you could totally make this double-sided. So really good point right there. Okay, so here's a visual of what it might look like with some tote bags on the top and hanging apparel at the bottom. I swapped the dowel and the steel rod because this hanging apparel needs that extra support. This is on the brackets for the tallest shelf, and you can see the 4X doesn't even drag on the ground, so it's a really great height for customers to sit here and shop it and still see everything and not damage your product. The other thing I wanted to say is for this point, if you want, you could put these curtain rings on here at this point, and this would also be a good way to keep your items hanging straight. Like that. I feel like that looks a lot better. All right, here's a new one that I've never used, but I think I'm gonna have to start using it because I really love it. So this just has 3 shelves on here. This top one just serves as a duster. Up here, I have both wooden dowels, and then I put the curtain rings around the dowels before I secured them in place with the cotter pins, and then I clipped tote bags with curtain clips and then put folded tote bags on the bottom. So the advantage of this is that it gets them facing forward. You can still see the handles, and there's plenty of inventory down below. So I really love this one, and now I'm convinced I need a 3rd shelving unit. All right, so for this last one, I'm just gonna be working on this side because I only have 1 pegboard. So right now I'm just putting 2 S-hooks on my pegboard, and I have the steel rod up here since the pegboard is gonna be a little heavier, and this just hangs right here. From this point, if you're okay with it hanging straight up and down, then you can leave it as is. It sits right where this shelf begins. This is a 2-foot wide pegboard. If you want it to have a slant to it, you can zip tie it to this front leg, and that'll give you the slant that it needs in order for it to have stuff leaning back on it instead of falling forward. Down below, you can either use your shelves for whatever you want, or you can hang stuff. So I'm not gonna show y'all this one, but it kind of combines one of the ones from earlier with this one. At a market last weekend, we put a pegboard up top, and then we just had a steel rod going across at this level, and then we had that hanging apparel from before, small through 4X. So we had coloring books and then apparel. But I'm gonna mess around with this one for a little bit and see what we can come up with for some smaller accessories. For this section, I will be using some socks and some car charms and some phone charms from Golden Stars. And she was also nice enough to send me some product to experiment with, and I'll be using some of my accessories as well. Okay, I'm running out of time for today, so I'm not gonna be able to fill the shelves for y'all, but this is how I just filled up the pegboard, and I think this is so cute. It gets those accessories right at eye level. There's my alarm to stop working. Anyways, it gets all of these smaller accessories at eye level instead of your customers having to look at them on the ground. As for the shelves, you could do whatever you want. You could lay more of these items down flat, or you could put something else on the shelves entirely. For instance, one of my thoughts was notepads on like a book display, and then notepads stacked to the right of it. Same idea for like cards and other stationery. You could put tote bags on the shelf. I sell pennant flags, so I would probably put pennant flags on one of these shelves because those do really well laying flat on a shelf. But this is what that pegboard layout will look like. The other thing I want to say is, as I was doing this, I started to think that all of this stuff would do well with just dowels. I'm not gonna be able to show y'all that. I'm so sorry. Okay, different day. I'm cleaning up my mess right now, and I just couldn't let myself not try this out for y'all so you could see a visual. So these are all those same items that were up on the pegboard, but now instead of a pegboard, I have them hanging from the dowels with S-hooks and curtain rings. So I have the socks on curtain rings, and then I did S-hooks for everything else. If I were to use this in a market, I think I would search for smaller S-hooks if possible. Down here, I left one shelf with pennant flags, but you could do this whole thing hanging. Here's how you could do it all hanging. You can see there's like a little bit of overlap between the lanyards and the pennant flags here. But I don't think that this is anything to be an issue, because when someone grabs this, they're obviously gonna lift up, and it wouldn't really mess with your pennant flags too much. You could swap it for tote bags. And then of course, this is another one that is now double-sided if you wanna add more on the other side as well. So as far as I know, that's it on all of these layouts. If I come up with any more, I'm sure that they will be updated in the digital download. If you would like to build one of these units yourself, you can find everything you need at canyoubelieveit.com/shelf. I'll be sure to link any of the accessories that I used in the description. Those will be affiliate links, and I will make a small chunk of change if you use those, so I really appreciate that. Other than that, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!